My dear student, in the first secondary stage, welcome at Integrated Science Program. My name is Mr. Hani Muhammad. I am a teacher of Integrated Science. And now let's continue our Integrated Science program with the first unit, Aquatic Ecosystem, Lesson 7, the effect of atmospheric air gases on aquatic environment. Let's start. In this lesson, we are studying the effect of the dissolved atmospheric gases in water, such as oxygen and carbon dioxide, on aquatic organisms. First, we need to talk about the oxygen in the aquatic environment. What are the sources of oxygen in the aquatic environment? First, the atmospheric air which surrounds the Earth. This is the main source of the oxygen gas in aquatic environment. Second, the phytoplankton, algae, and aquatic plants produce oxygen in water through photosynthesis process. Also, let's start by the atmospheric air to know more about it. It considered the main source of oxygen in water, where oxygen is slightly soluble in the water. Okay? Also, in seas and oceans, more oxygen dissolves in water as a result of waves and water current in the ocean. So this is helped to increase the ratio of the oxygen in the aquatic environment, whatever in the fresh water or in the salty water. And now let's go for a very important question. What is the role of dissolved oxygen in aquatic environment? Producing the energy necessary for marine organisms to carry out various biological processes through the catabolic process, where glucose molecule is oxidized during the respiration. So this is very important role for the oxygen in the aquatic environment. It producing the energy necessary for marine organisms to carry out various biological process through the catabolic process. And we mentioned before the meaning of catabolic process. Okay? So the glucose molecule is oxidized during the respiration process to release the energy. Okay? And let's go for the carbon dioxide in aquatic environment, because in this session we will talk about the oxygen, okay, and the carbon dioxide and the role of both of them in the aquatic environment. Let's go. What are the sources of carbon dioxide in aquatic environment? Again, what are the sources of carbon dioxide in aquatic environment? First, the atmosphere is considered the main source of carbon dioxide in the water. Also, marine organisms produce carbon dioxide gas that dissolves in the water as a waste product through catabolic process. So we have the first source and the second source. The first one, the atmosphere, okay, and the second one, it is the marine creatures themselves. Okay, also don't forget the carbon dioxide gas dissolved in the water due to the human activities such as industrial pollution and the decomposition of organic material carried by agriculture wastes. Okay, so these are the sources of the carbon dioxide in the aquatic environment. Okay, and now, my dear student, let's go for the most important question. Okay, how the aquatic plants and algae obtain carbon dioxide gas. Okay, let's start. They obtain carbon dioxide gas through a physical property called diffusion. Again, they obtain carbon dioxide gas through a physical property called diffusion, where carbon dioxide gas, CO2, moves from a medium with a higher concentration of the gas into living cells where the concentration is lower. So the diffusion here is very important. It is a key point to explain how the aquatic plants and algae obtain carbon dioxide. Okay, let's say that again and confirm on it. They obtain carbon dioxide gas through a physical property called by the diffusion. Don't forget diffusion. And let's now go to know what is the diffusion. Okay, the movement of the gas from the higher concentration area to the lower concentration area, this is called by the diffusion. Again, what is the diffusion? The movement of the gas from the higher concentration area to the lower concentration area. This is called by the diffusion. Don't forget, be focused, concentrate with me, leave everything in your hand and follow me. Formation of organic compounds. Carbon dioxide gas is considered a key element in the formation of organic material like carbohydrate, such as glucose, as shown the following chemical equation. Okay, so don't forget here, carbon dioxide, it is very, very important in the formation of organic compounds. Okay, such as the carbohydrate. Example for the carbohydrate, it is the glucose. And how the glucose is formed, let's go to see the following equation. The following equation shows how the glucose is formed through the photosynthesis process, where the plant needs carbon dioxide gas, okay, and water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight to produce the glucose, and water and the oxygen were released. So here the glucose, it is a source for the energy which the living organism need to survive and to continue their activities. Okay? So don't forget that the carbon dioxide is the main source of the, yes, that's right, it is the main source to form the compounds which we need it to produce the energy. And now, my dear student, let's talk about a new concept which is called the solubility. Okay, solubility, the ability of a solute to dissolve in solvent to form a homogeneous solution at a specific temperature and pressure. This is a definition for the solubility. Again, solubility, the ability of a solute to dissolve in a solvent to form homogeneous solution at a specific temperature and pressure. Okay, we have also another definition for the solubility. The maximum amount of solute required in a certain volume of solvent to form a saturated and stable solution at specific temperature and pressure. So we have here two definitions for what the solubility. The first one, and this is the second one. So the equation of the solubility, yes, we can calculate the solubility through the mass of the dissolved gas divided the volume of the solution. So the solubility, we can express it by the equation, okay, by dividing the mass of the dissolved gas by the volume of the solution. Clear? let's go for another part in our lesson. Factors affecting the solubility. What are the factors that affect the solubility? We have really three factors, three important factors. The first one, temperature. Okay. The second, pressure. Third one, nature of the material itself. Okay. So the factors affecting the solubility: first, temperature; second, pressure; third, nature of the material. Let's talk about everyone in more details. Okay. Solubility of oxygen and carbon dioxide in water. The concentration of oxygen gas is about 500 times higher than the concentration of the carbon dioxide gas. But the solubility of the carbon dioxide is 50 times the solubility of the oxygen. This is very important point to concentrate and to understand it very well. Also, I need you to know the solubility of both gases in salty oceans water is about 20 to 30% lower than their solubility in the fresh water. Okay, so don't forget those two important key points. Okay, and now let's go to the factors affecting the solubility. Let's start by the affecting of temperature on the solubility, as we mentioned before, and we talk about the three factors, okay, which is the temperature, okay, will be here, and we will talk about the temperature in more details. Really, the solubility of the two gases, whatever the carbon dioxide or the oxygen, decreases by increasing the temperature. So the first factor that affects the solubility, the temperature, and the relation here between the solubility and the temperature, it is what? Yes, it is inversely relation. Okay, so the solubility of the two gases decrease by increased temperature. Okay, and now let's go for this graph to compare between the solubility of the oxygen in the left side, okay, and carbon dioxide in the right side. Okay, both of them, by increased temperature, their solubility decreases, as you see in the figure. Okay, but actually, if you compare more in more details, we can find in the oxygen, okay, by decreasing the temperature from 20 to 50, okay, and also in the carbon dioxide, we'll talk about the increase in the temperature from 20 to 50 also. We can find what? We can find that the change or the decreasing in the solubility in carbon dioxide from 20 to 50 degrees Celsius, okay, it is greater than what? Yes, it is greater than the oxygen. Okay, so this is a comparison between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide solubility in the form of a graph. Okay, don't forget that both of them, by increasing temperature, the solubility decrease, okay, but the decrease in the solubility in case of carbon dioxide from 20 to 50 degrees Celsius is greater than the oxygen. Okay, that's clear. And now, my dear student, let's go for another section in our lesson. The effect of increasing oxygen in water on aquatic environment. First, supporting respiration. Improves the ability of aquatic living organisms to breathe. So this is the first effect. Okay, don't forget, look carefully to the title. The effect of increasing oxygen in water on the aquatic organism. First, supporting respiration. And this is by improve the ability of aquatic living organisms to breathe. What else? The second one, improving metabolism. Okay, support the metabolism of aquatic organisms and promote the growth. Okay, because if the respiration is good, so the metabolism process in your body will work well, and that will help you or the living organism to promote the growth. The third, increasing activity. Sure, if the metabolism is working good in your body or the body of the living organism, so that stimulates aquatic organism to be more active in swimming, hunting, and reproduction. Okay? Also, maintaining ecosystem balance. A healthy balance of dissolved oxygen in water support diverse populations of fish, invertebrates, and plants. Okay, so don't forget, here we need to concentrate on the effects of increasing oxygen in water on aquatic organisms. Okay, and now, my dear student, let's go for the carbon dioxide, and we need to study the effect of increasing carbon dioxide ratio in water on aquatic organisms. As we talk in case of the oxygen, here we're going to talk about the effect of carbon dioxide gas ratio in water on aquatic organisms. Let's go. First, acidification. When the dissolved ratio of carbon dioxide gas level increase in water, that leads to increasing in carbonic acid, H2CO3, and decrease in the water's pH value, and that can be harmful to many species of aquatic organisms, especially in sensitive life stages such as the egg and larva. So the effects of increasing carbon dioxide in water on aquatic organisms, the first effect, it is the acidification. Don't forget the acidification, and it is very, very important factor, and it may be harm the living organism, especially in the first stages of their life, such as the egg or larva. Okay? The second, impairing respiration. Why impairing respiration? Because high levels of carbon dioxide in water can reduce the amount of dissolved oxygen necessary for aquatic organisms to breathe. So by increasing the ratio of carbon dioxide, that really affect the ratio of the oxygen also, and this will affect the respiration of the living organism. Good. The third, waking support structure. And this point is very, very important. Waking support structure. Okay, support structure like what? Maybe external support, maybe internal support, as we're going to see in the next part of our lesson. So, waking support structure. Support structure in living organism is divided in two types. Let's talk about them. The first one, it is external support. The external skeleton of living organisms such as corals, okay, and oysters provide protection for the animal's body. As you see here, this is a coral, and this is what? And this is the oysters. And they have external support. They have what? External support. And here we will go to study the effects of increasing the ratio of carbon dioxide on the external support of these living organisms. Okay, these organisms really, these organisms rely on the process of acidification, of calcification. Again, these organisms rely on the process of calcification by depositing calcium carbonate to form their shells or skeletal structure. Okay, so calcification here, it is a key point. It is very important to understand the meaning of calcification. Okay, in the calcification, the living organism need calcium carbonate to form the shells and the skeletal structure of their bodies. Okay, so what is the effect of carbon dioxide on the calcification? The increase in the percentage of carbon dioxide in the water leads to the conversion of slightly soluble calcium carbonate into calcium bicarbonate, which is dissolved in what? Yes, in water. This reduces the process of calcification, hindering these organisms' ability to build or maintain their skeleton. Okay, so the increase in the ratio of carbon dioxide gas that affect calcification. And the calcification, it is a process of building the calcium carbonate to form the skeleton of the living organism. And by increasing carbon dioxide, the calcification process decreases, and this hinder the living organism ability to build or maintain their skeleton. Okay, so this is a bad effect of carbon dioxide gas ratio on the living organism in the aquatic environment, especially in the seas and the ocean. Don't forget, the external skeleton in some crustaceans, like shrimps, is made of chitin. So it will not affected by what? By the increase of the carbon dioxide ratio, but it can affect, yes, the young shrimps if it's larvae of small shrimps. Okay, now my dear student, let's talk about the internal support and how the carbon dioxide gas ratio affects the internal support of the living organism. Especially, yes, we're talking about the aquatic organism because our unit, it is what? Yes, it is the aquatic environment or the aquatic ecosystem. Okay? The internal skeleton of aquatic organisms such as fish and marine mammals, like what? Like dolphin, okay, and whales, may be bony, consisting primarily of calcium phosphate in addition to protein collagen, as in bony fish like tilapia. This fish is called by the tilapia fish. The first picture to the left, this is called by the tilapia. Okay? What else? The increase in the carbon dioxide affects calcium balance, as we mentioned before, the calcification process, yes, in the bodies of the fish, which weaken their growth. Okay, so don't forget the bad effects of increase in the ratio of carbon dioxide, okay, and the internal support of the living organism. What else? The effect of decreasing carbon dioxide ratio in water on the aquatic environment. Here, we'll talk about the effect of decreasing carbon dioxide, not increasing. Be concentrated with me. Be focused, please. Okay? Again, I will read the title again. The effects of decreasing of carbon dioxide ratio in water on aquatic environment. First, reducing the rate of photosynthesis and energy production. As we mentioned before, the photosynthesis process depends on the carbon dioxide gas. So any change in the ratio of the carbon dioxide gas that sure affect the photosynthesis process. So reducing the rate of photosynthesis and energy production because the aquatic plants and algae need carbon dioxide to perform photosynthesis process that lead to decreased sugar formation and weakening their energy production. As we mentioned before, in the photosynthesis process, the product, okay, will be the glucose, which is the source of the energy for the living organism. So if the ratio of the carbon dioxide decrease, the photosynthesis process also will not be efficiently occur, and will reduce the energy that the living organism need to survive or to practice its activities. Clear? Let's now go for another thing. The second one, the impacting food chain. A decrease in carbon dioxide levels in water leads to a lower rate of sugar formation, such as glucose, which limits the energy reserves in producer organisms like phytoplankton and algae. Consequently, that affect the organism at higher levels of the food chain. Okay, so this is another impact or another bad effect of decreasing the carbon dioxide gas on the aquatic organism. Okay, the third bad effect of the decreasing in carbon dioxide gas, yes, it is disrupting water pH balance. Okay, again, disrupting water pH balance. Low concentration of the carbon dioxide may lead to an increase in the pH value, okay, of the water, which negatively affect sensitive species such as adapted to the specific pH range. Okay, so the decreasing in the carbon dioxide gas that also affect what? Yes, affect the pH balance. Okay, let's go for the exercise to check our understanding for today's lesson. Okay, let's start the first one. Choose the correct answer. All of the following are sources of dissolved carbon dioxide in water except the atmosphere, marine organisms, decomposition of organic material, photosynthesis process. Yes, you are right. It is a photosynthesis process. Okay? Why? Because in the photosynthesis process, the living organism needs carbon dioxide, not release carbon dioxide. Okay? Another question. We have a graph, two graphs. Okay? The graph on the left side express the relation between the temperature and the solubility of the oxygen. And the graph on the right side represents the relation between the temperature and the solubility of carbon dioxide gas. Okay, let's go for the question here. From the opposite figure, when increasing in the temperature, okay, look to this table, okay, from the opposite figure, when increasing the temperature. So what will happen for the solubility of oxygen and the solubility of carbon dioxide? Yes, that's good. Both of them will decrease as you see in the previous what? Yes, in the previous graphs. Okay, let's go for another question. An increase in the percentage of carbon dioxide gas in water leads to increased water acidification and increased coral calcification, increased water calcification and reduced coral calcification, reduced water cal acidification and increase the coral calcification, or reduce water acidification and reduced coral calcification. Try to think. It is not easy question to answer, but you need to concentrate very well. I will read the question again for you. An increase in the percentage of carbon dioxide gas in water leads to increased water acidification and increased coral calcification. B. Increased water acidification and reduced coral calcification. C. Reduced water acidification and increased coral calcification. D. Reduced water acidification and reduced coral calcification. You are right. This is the right answer. Yes, increased water acidification and reduced coral calcification. That's right. Another question. Which of the following causes a decrease in the pH value of water? Decrease in pH value of water. Okay, so the decrease in pH value, it means that the solution will be more acidified or more acidic. Okay, let's go for the choices. Increase in the dissolved oxygen in water, increase in dissolved carbon dioxide in water, decrease in dissolved oxygen in water, decrease in dissolved carbon dioxide in water. Yes, you have. Yes, I see. I listen for somebody. Yes, this is the right answer. Good, good. Increase in dissolved carbon dioxide, that will, yes, that will also affect the pH value and decrease it. Okay, another question. What happened to the pH value at? Look at this table. Increase of oxygen in water, and the other side increasing of the carbon dioxide in water. What happens to the pH value at those cases? The first case, increase of oxygen in the water, and the second case, increase of carbon dioxide in water. Sure, by increasing oxygen, it will not affect the pH value at all. But in case of carbon dioxide, by increasing the ratio of the carbon dioxide, sure, the pH will be decreased. Okay, so the right answer here, B, don't change the ratio in case of the oxygen, but in case of carbon dioxide, it will be decreased. Okay, let's go for another question. The gas solubility in water is affected directly by all the following except what? Temperature, the percentage of light, pressure, the nature of the substance in the solution. Yes, that's right answer. The percentage of the light, it completely will not affect the solubility of the gases, whatever oxygen or carbon dioxide. Another question, my dear student. The ratio between the solubility rate of carbon dioxide, CO2, in water in the summer to its solubility rate in the winter is what? Yes, greater than 1, less than 1, equal 1, cannot be determined. Yes, that's right answer, greater than 1. Okay, because the temperature in the winter will be lower than the temperature in the summer, and we know that the relation between the solubility and the temperature, it is inversely relation. Let's go for another question. All the following are considered the source of dissolved oxygen in water is except what? Except algae, photoplankton, atmospheric air, zooplankton. Yes, that's right. The zooplankton, it is not at all the source of oxygen. Okay? Another question, we still work on multiple choice question. What is the main source of the energy required for marine organisms to carry out their biological process? Oxygen gas, carbon dioxide gas, glucose, calcium carbonate. Try to think. Yes, you are right. It is the glucose. It is the source of the energy because I mentioned before, okay, through the photosynthesis process, we need carbon dioxide gas and the presence of water, chlorophyll, okay, sunlight. This will produce the glucose molecule, which is the main source of the energy for most of the living organisms, whatever the aquatic or non-aquatic living organism. Good. Another question, which of the following decreases the percentage of carbon dioxide in water? So we're talking here about the solubility, the factor that affect the solubility. Okay? So the choices here, the gas exchange between water and atmospheric air, the respiration of marine animals, photosynthesis of algae, industrial pollution. Yes, that's completely right. The photosynthesis of algae. Okay? Another question. The fall of acid rain, okay, saturated with the carbon dioxide gas in an aquatic environment leads to the first one, reducing the pH value of water, increasing the calcification rate of aquatic animals, reducing the rate of the photosynthesis process, increasing the activity of fish. Yes, that's right. Reducing the pH value of water. Okay, another question. Which of the following living organisms is characterized by the presence of internal skeleton? Tilapia, oyster, shrimp, coral. Yes, I'm talking about the internal, not the external. Internal skeleton. Good. It will be tilapia. It is a kind of fish which live in the fresh water or in the salty water. It is according to its type. And now, my dear student, let's go for the essay questions. Compare the causes of acidification and calcification in terms of percentage of dissolved carbon dioxide gas in water. The answer, acidification here, the acidification increase by increasing the ratio of carbon dioxide in water. But calcification, the calcification decreased by increasing the ratio of carbon dioxide in water, and this led to the effect on the formation, the shells, and the external skeleton for the aquatic living organism. Write the scientific term, a process on which many marine organisms depend to form their shells and skeletons. Yes, that's right. It is a classification. I'm sorry, it is calcification. Don't forget, calcification. Okay? A biological process carried out by photoplankton, algae, and aquatic plants that plays a role in producing oxygen in water. Good. It is photosynthesis process. It is very important process for all the living organisms. The water soluble substance is formed when carbon dioxide gas dissolved in water and reacts with calcium carbonate and change it into, yes, calcium bicarbonate. Don't forget this very important note, okay? Yes, it is the carbonic acid H2CO3. Okay, this is a kind of the acid which is formed when the carbon dioxide dissolved in the water. And now, my dear student, let's go for the second type of the essay question. Give reason for. The concentration of carbon dioxide and oxygen gases in Mediterranean Sea water is lower than their concentration in the Nile River water. Why? The answer, because the solubility of both gases in salty oceans water is about 20 to 30% lower than their solubility in fresh water. Okay, again, the concentration of carbon dioxide and oxygen gas in Mediterranean oceans and Mediterranean Sea is lower than their concentration in the Nile River's water. Yes, because the solubility of both gases in salty oceans water is about 20 to 30, okay, lower than their solubility in a fresh water. Another one, the high percentage of carbon dioxide gas in water harms some of the marine organisms as oysters and coral. Yes, because the high percentage of carbon dioxide reduce the calcification process that hindering these organisms' ability to build or maintain their skeleton. Okay? Another question. The high temperature in the marine environment may threaten the life of aquatic plants. Yes, because the solubility of CO2, the carbon dioxide, decreases by the increase that lead to reducing efficiently rate of photosynthesis and energy production of aquatic plants. Okay, so my dear student, this is the end of our lesson for today. I hope all of you understood well. See you next time and goodbye.